Okay, what I'm going to talk about is something that you probably don't want to think about, and it's what is your blind spot as a facilitator. I would say that I have many blind spots, so I'm going to talk about three. So, what is your blind spot? And what do I mean by that? I mean, it's something that you do not very well. You're oblivious to it. You don't even know that you don't do it very well. In other words, you're unconsciously incompetent. And I'm going to try and move you to conscious incompetence, and then you can actually work on it and become consciously competent. One of my early blind spots, and I'd say it still exists today, is not giving instructions very clearly. And so that means when you're a facilitator, you want a small group to do something. And you might say, give them too many instructions all at once. And then they say, well, okay, get into small groups and we're going to number off. And then you tell them everything. And then, or they're moving while you're giving instructions. So you number them off 1 to 4 and you say, group 1 go here, and group 2 go here, and group 3 go here, etc. And they start moving and you haven't even told them what you're going to do. So you need to think about how to give small group instructions really carefully and really practice saying them ahead of time. A second blind spot, which I have, is I often don't realize, because of my white background and all my various backgrounds, I sometimes am forgetful, and or I don't even know that some culture divide exists between me and the group. And I might use an example that is very US based, for example, or if I'm in Canada, very Canadian based. Or I might be in a different country and I might use music that is not appropriate to the culture, or I might use an energizer that totally wouldn't work because of the way the genders interact with each other. And so I want you to think about your own biases because of your cultural upbringing and the things that you may not know, and that you need to check in with your group and say, I am going to propose this activity and I want to make sure that it will work for you. So especially with energizers, really check. This is how the energizer will go. Check with your client beforehand. A third blind spot is really focusing way too much on getting your agenda done and not noticing that perhaps the group needs something completely different. Perhaps they need to just pause and listen to each other. Perhaps they need to share stories. Perhaps they have a completely different outcome they need. And are you paying attention to that? And that is often a blind spot when we first begin facilitating. We just want to cover our agenda. 3 blind spots. There are way more. Make yourself a list in a diary and then decide how you're going to deal with them.